to Nonprofit Spotlight. I am your host of the show, Lisa Laughlin, the Executive Director of the United Way of the Tri-Valley area and a member of Mount Blue TV's new program. And I am delighted to welcome Kendra Baker, who is the Finance and Operations Coordinator of the United Way, as one of the first guests of the show. And the intent of the show is to introduce the community to the wonderful nonprofits doing such good work in Greater Franklin County. So welcome, Kendra.
Well, thank you for having me, Lisa.
You're welcome. So I am fortunate to have worked with you for a number of years now at United Way of Tri-Valley area, and I know you really well, but I don't think our audience knows you, and I think it's important as we feature community members who choose to work in nonprofits for everyone to get to know a little bit about you. So who are you and what do you do at United Way? And then we're going to ask a few other follow-up questions.
Well, yes, we have worked together for a while now, which has been great. And I am the Finance and Operations Coordinator. However, that's just a title because we all three, big but mighty, small but mighty, with big passions, work United Way. And I came to the nonprofit sector due to my kiddos having used programs when they were younger. So that's why I landed with you at United Way of the Tri-Valley area.
And you've been here about 6 years.
I have.
And you have done a tremendous job helping us diversify our revenue. We are a fundraising organization and a community impact organization. Everything we bring in as a nonprofit goes back out to our local communities. And I think often people don't really know what United Way does. So when you talk about United Way, besides what I just said, how do you impress upon people the difference we're making?
Oh gosh, I talk about the different programs that we support, whether it's our partner agencies, such as Seniors Plus Meals on Wheels, Franklin County Children's Task Force, but also like the Hope Fund, supporting youth under 18, the Packs for Progress. I talk about the many ways that we are able to get the funding out into the community. But I also always tell people that I am the Finance and Operations Coordinator, so I know where those dollars are going, and I know that it is local people, just like you, that are making those decisions of where the funding goes.
And I think there's a misconception that we only serve the Farmington area. And I made a point in the introduction to talk about Greater Franklin County and the fact that we serve Jay and Livermore Falls as well, Rangeley and Stratton area as well. So I think you reinforce the local message, but the beyond Farmington impact that we have too.
Right. As you know, a local resident of Jay, a lot of people don't realize that Jay is actually in Franklin County. So they just tie it in with Livermore Falls, which is fine because we serve all three of those. And living down in the Jay area, I'm able to see the breadth of what we do cover for Livermore and Livermore Falls. So that's been great as well.
And I think one of the misconceptions about United Way that you talk a lot about too is that we are part of a larger organization that's very well known internationally, but we are locally governed, right? We have a board, right? And the three staff and the board ensure that money that is raised here stays here and makes the biggest impact possible.
Yes.
So speaking of fundraising, we do a lot of events, right? We have workplace campaigns. We ask people to contribute individually. We write grants. We also have a program that was established in 2018 that's really going strong, the Corporate Champion Circle. Can you talk a little bit about the CCC?
The CCC, yes, Corporate Champion Circle membership is something that was designed with local business owners. It's a way for the local area businesses to give back to their community, but also to get a little bang for their buck, if you will. We have an agreement that we have with the business, and we provide some marketing opportunities and some sponsorship levels at all of our, our events that we have, which can bring in quite a few people.
So it's an annual membership, correct?
It is an annual
So
membership.
It's much like what Mount Blue Television is doing with its nonprofit member program.
Right.
Yeah, you get benefits in return. You're doing good in the community, but you get something in return. And you're part of a community as well. You're part of a community of members, but also giving back, which is so important. Nonprofits do that really well. I can think of so many examples. You mentioned our community partners. We're currently funding 14 programs through our community partner program, ranging from Meals on Wheels, as you talked about, to sexual assault prevention and response services, to literacy volunteers. All of these organizations give back. And later on in this segment, we're going to connect you to some of those organizations and talk about volunteer opportunities as we have Nichole Ernest joining us.
Yes.
So I also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the events that we have, because that is a major source of revenue for us and a heck of a lot of fun and a great way for people to volunteer as well. So let's start with the Color Run, one of the events that you established. This is the 5th year, I think, of a Color Run coming up.
Yes.
So it's got a great history and it's growing. So
it does.
Color Run Queen, talk about it.
First, I want to say that, in your place of employment, it's always nice to have and I'm going to say executive director in this case, that will listen to your wonky ideas or like, what, a Color Run in Farmington or with United Way. So yes, first of all, thank you. And that was, our 5th year, over 300 runners growing every year, a whole bunch of sponsors. So the Color Run being one of my favorite events that we have is the last Saturday in August every year. It's an annual event, and like I said, it's the 5th annual, so love that one. Another one that we are hopefully growing every year is Farmington Fright Nights, formerly Trail of Terror.
Speaking of one that I'm scratching my head going, a Halloween event in Farmington. We're a United Way. Several years ago when you brought that. So yet another event that's, growing, and as you say, is just a kind of an interesting niche for us, I think.
Yes.
And now we've been partnering and we're expanding our partnerships with it as well.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about Farmington Fright Nights.
Farmington Fright Nights is a 4-night event that is like 3 main attractions, scary, walk through haunted houses or slaughterhouses or whatever, along with, vendors and lots of volunteers, which Nichole will talk about, which is awesome, and just a really robust, fun Halloween event for the community.
And where is it going to be held this year?
Farmington Fright Nights is being held at the Farmington Fairgrounds, otherwise known as the Farmington Scaregrounds.
There we go. We're going to be, I think, in the exhibition hall. The pulling ring is going to be used.
Don't give away
too
much information.
Oh, I won't. Okay, that's right. I hear there's some clowns. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that either. So, Kendra, we talk a lot about making impact in the community as a nonprofit. That's core to our mission, right? Let's talk a little bit about our innovative response to community needs, our strategic plan that is just being shared with our donors and our community. You've been a part of that process. You have been nimble and responsive to community needs as people ask for things, but you've also been a strategic partner in our organization and with our board, saying we really need to focus on certain things.
Yes.
So youth aspirations is certainly one of those, and we've established the Hope Fund to address youth aspirations. You have some interest and passion for mental health, particularly around youth. That has been incorporated into our strategic plan. Transportation, right?
Absolutely.
We live in a rural community.
Yep.
Hard to get around. We have been sponsoring and supporting Western Maine Transportation Services for years, but certainly need to look at volunteer rides programs, which we'll talk with Nichole about, and other models. What other things that we've been talking about with our strategic plan and the direction for our organization has really resonated with you?
It really is. When I first started with United Way, it was the mile wide, inch deep type of funding, and I have felt that with more investments going into very purposeful organizations, there could be a larger impact. And doing community needs assessments and meetings and hearing the voices of the community, and drilling down to those, such as mental health for youth, where there's a gap in that, especially in our community here, or the transportation piece for sure.
And I think one of your passions has also been about financial security and life skills
Yes.
when kids are young, right?
Yes.
Making sure they have those building blocks to understand what's in the future, their career explorations, I use the term balance a checkbook, but I'm dating myself, right?
Well, no,
But
it's true.
how to make good choices too,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yep. And some of these youth, you talk about secondary education, and they're like, well, what is that? And does that mean I have to go to a prestigious college, or do I go? What happens after, or even during being a former banker when you had young kiddos coming in to open a checking account and they didn't know how to sign the back of a check. They didn't know how to write out a check. Or access, being able to access online applications for secondary education, or their parents.
Or the importance of saving.
Right.
To be able to pay for that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Good. Yeah. So I think we're almost out of time, but I have a couple of other questions for you. One of those is, if there's one thing you would want anybody in this community to know that is considering making an investment in United Way, donations are an investment. They're an investment not only in an organization, but in our community. What would you tell them?
Lisa, you hit me with a big one at the end of the show. I think the one thing that I want donors to know is that their contribution stays local. When they contribute, they are helping somebody local. It can be their neighbor, their family member, a friend. It could be you or I at some point. Like I said, my kiddos went through the process and they were helped.
So speaking of helped, you've done a separate segment that is going to be airing on this show at some point about the Hope Fund.
Yes.
We're going to end with one of your greatest passions, which is raising aspirations for youth. And you've touched on the Hope Fund, but I want you to dig down and share with our viewers one of the most impactful grants that we've made to an individual through the Hope Fund. I mean, I know stories. I hear you talking about pigs and 4-H and so many things we don't think of a United Way supporting, but core to what we do is raising those youth aspirations and making a difference. And I know we're doing that through the Hope Fund. So
right.
Let's end there.
And so you brought it up because you know what one's near and dear to my heart. A fabulous story, but there's others like that as well. So the Hope Fund funded a hog for a young man through his 4-H program. He got his meat birds and everything else that he was supposed to acquire for the program, but he got the feed for the hog, but he needed some help. His family needed some help in purchasing the whole hog. He raised it. He came in and brought in flyers because they auctioned it off at the fair. He wanted to let the Hope Fund committee know that it was being auctioned off if they wanted to come check it out or bid on it. And so that happened. He came in and reported about that. Then he came in, because this funding happened sometime in the spring to early summer, I believe, in the winter, and he was selling swag wreaths. And with the proceeds of the swag wreaths through his 4-H, he used his portion to pay back the Hope Fund. So he took that $100 and he paid it back to the Hope Fund, and he continues to be involved in that and talking about the program, him and his family.
I love that story, and there's so many other stories like that, as you say, and I'm always interested to hear things like we're funding driver's license application, driver's ed, right? Fishing licenses. I was confusing the two because during this pandemic that we've been in, we've been encouraging outdoor activities, right? And we've been looking at ways for people who maybe were traditionally gravitating towards a summer camp, which the Hope Fund also supports, to still get outside, still enjoy, to
go fishing,
learn remotely, right? And get a STEM kit, for example. Yeah. Well, I can't resist ending on the whole hog note, right? Because you've just given us a great story. And, United Way really does go whole hog in this community to make a difference, right? And we've been here since 1981. We're going to be here a lot longer. And we're encouraging people to get involved, make a difference with us. As Kendra started this conversation, we're small but mighty. We're going to grow because of your involvement. And we appreciate all of your support.
For almost 40 years, the people of Franklin County, Livermore, and Livermore Falls have counted on the United Way of the Tri-Valley area. As a nonprofit, The United Way provides tools, resources, and funding to local organizations that work to make sure that every community member has enough to eat, a safe and warm place to live, access to education, healthcare, and economic security. These are the building blocks to create a bright future.
My name is Jamie Marcus, and I am a board member for the United Way of the Tri-Valley. And the United Way matters to me because people matter and because community matters. And I see the United Way as an organization that empowers people to make their community better through the multiple resources that we offer and the multiple counsel that we offer to the people within our community.
My name is Tia Cornelius and I work for Mission at the Eastward. I'm the executive director. I mean, everyone at United Way is a joy to work with and so helpful, and every question that you want before answered, they'll answer, guide you through the process, and they actually celebrate with you when things go well and stuff. It's a joy to work with them.
We always seem to be figuring out how to be nimble, responsive to our community, and creative and exciting so we can help as many people as possible.
My name is Daryl Wood. I'm the Executive Director of LEAP here in Farmington. I live in New Sharon with my wife, Rebecca. Both Becky and I donate to the United Way and have for years because we feel like they make a difference in this community. If I was to say why they make a difference, is because they connect people with resources and they help those people to be successful.
For United Way, they've got their finger on the pulse of what's going on, so that passions can be met for people who are really passionate about volunteering. So it's not just a thing like, oh, you can volunteer here or there, but lining up sort of what you're interested in, volunteering with.
My name is Cassandra. I am a practicum student with CMCC. I am completing my practicum with United Way of the Tri-Valley area. I would tell anyone that does not know anything about United Way is to come see us, because if you are in need of help with a backpack for your kid, or where to find local food banks, or you need help with your taxes, we do it all. If there's a problem in the community, we are working towards finding those answers and to putting the community first.
As a one-time board member, I learned how they allocate funds and how they make sure that the resources that people give to them get into the right people's hands and really make a difference in their lives. Very comfortable that my donation is making a difference to help my neighbors and friends in Franklin County.
And there's so many different ways to help, whether it's serving on a board, or serving on a committee, or volunteering, or donating money. Whatever you're most comfortable with, I think as long as you're making that effort as a community member, I know that everybody within our organization will be grateful for that.
What we all strive to do is to make a difference. And without them, that difference, I don't think, would be quite as impactful as it is.
Hello and welcome back to Nonprofit Spotlight. My name's Lisa Laflin. I'm the Executive Director of United Way of the Tri-Valley area. And I am your host of the show, and I'm excited for future opportunities to talk with area nonprofits doing such good work in our community. Today is one of those opportunities to talk to an organization and its representatives. Our first one, and it's United Way of the Tri-Valley area, which I'm the Executive Director of, and Nichole, Ernest, my guest, is the Community Resource Coordinator. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
So Nichole, this is a chance for us to get to know those sort of behind the camera, if you will, or in front of the camera as it is today. So behind the scenes, a lot goes on at United Way, and you're responsible for a lot of programs, things that impact our community that many people may not know about. So for example, we have a backpack program, we prepare free taxes, We have a community energy challenge, and you oversee the volunteers and the programs that are so impactful. Can you talk a little bit about those programs?
Well, these programs do impact the community, but they're also a lot of fun. At least they are for me, so that works out well because that's my job. But the backpacks, this year we're doing like over 500 bags going out to kids in our community from Rangeley all the way down to Livermore, which is great to see the diversity there. Also, I don't know how much detail you want on each one because I could talk for a long time, on all.
Give me a few more details about what you're seeing, trends, the environment. We have grandparents coming in looking for backpacks, right?
We have grandparents, we have foster parents coming in, we have kids who have just come back to their homes from being in foster care. So it's very diverse, and it's very rewarding to see especially if the kids come with the parent to pick up the bag, they get so excited to see. And I love seeing that they're excited to go back to school and to have these things so that they are prepared.
And one of the things that I mentioned in an earlier segment when I was talking to your colleague Kendra Baker was that we serve all of Greater Franklin County, which includes Livermore Falls, as well as all of Franklin County. And I think it's important to know that the backpack program hits all of the schools, right?
Yep. All of the public schools and the private schools.
And homeschoolers?
Yep, and homeschoolers.
Pre-K?
Pre-K, community concepts. Preschool,
And as a spin-off, a couple of years after Packs for Progress was started, we started a program called
Tools for Teachers, which is one that's near and dear to my heart. My father was a teacher, my sister's a teacher, and I know how much time and money gets spent outside of their traditional work roles to make sure their classrooms have the tools they need. So we have this Tools for Teacher program where a large, I don't know, I'm not good at sizes, 30-gallon, a big tote filled with school supplies, the good tissues, the good pencils. I've got very specific instructions from some of my teacher friends. Also snacks so they can have those in their classroom. Packages of new underwear in case they need that. Middle schools get deodorant, which they could take a whole tote of deodorant. They tell me all the time. So whatever the schools have let me know that they need, that they go through quickly in their classrooms, I try to make sure they have. Also, whatever school supplies we have left after the backpacks go into the totes, so that families who maybe didn't hear about the backpack program and their children may need some school supplies, the teachers have access to that also.
And so much of what you do is really giving the tools for individuals to thrive, right?
Yes.
And so one of those tools is free tax preparation and what we call asset-based work, right? You're talking about how people can keep and earn and grow their money and make choices that will benefit them. So talk a little bit about Western Maine CASH, including what that darn acronym stands for.
So CASH actually stands for
Creating.
We do taxes. No, yes, Creating Assets, Savings, and Hope. And it's designed to help people keep as much money as they can, their refunds as they're coming back, but also have how we can help them make it grow. So as part of the program, not only do we prepare the taxes for free and get them filed for them electronically or by paper if we have to, we do that with amazing IRS certified volunteers who donate their time to
who are local,
who are all local people in the community. But we also take the time to connect people to resources that they may need. As part of that, we learn a lot about the family, and as you're talking about their taxes, they're talking about other needs they may have or concerns. So we can talk to them about setting up a savings account, a match savings account through New Ventures Maine called Rainy Day Savings, or connecting them to a food pantry that's close to where they live. Whatever comes up as part of the conversation, we try to connect them to those resources.
And I think that matched savings account is something I just want to touch on a little bit more because it speaks to United Way wanting to assist individuals longer term to be making choices that will help them longer than in the moment when they may be in crisis.
Yes.
So the Rainy Day Savings Program is a 1-to-1 match if they save $300.
Yep.
And what else do they have to do after they save?
Well, they have to take a class. They set up the account through New Ventures Maine, and they have to save over the course of a period of time. So say you get your refund and it's $3,000. You can't just take a $300 lump sum and put it in the account and have that get matched. It has to be over the course of several months. And part of that is to kind of get into the habit of saving and realize that you can do it. And you can start it off with a little bit of a chunk from your return, which is why we like to talk to people about it at tax time. The other thing that it's great at is it's for emergencies. So that money is set aside for when emergencies pop up. If you own your home, you know that the hot water heater, the so your refrigerator, and something always happens. And if you are living paycheck to paycheck, or you're always, strapped for cash, then you start out behind the 8 ball when you have to take money from your rent or your mortgage to pay for your refrigerator or to fix your car or to do these things. My goal, my ultimate win in that particular program would be for someone to come to me like a year or 2 years later and tell me, you know what, I can handle a $400 emergency now because I have a savings account.
Right.
Because right now, probably 83% of the people we speak with, they have no means to handle a $400 emergency.
And I think that speaks to the hand up versus a hand out message that we want to get across that United Way does.
Yep.
So Community Energy Challenge, another way for people to save money and stay warm and comfortable, but also give back, right? So these are volunteer-led initiatives, and this workshop in particular has homeowners who are getting free window panels if they qualify for LIHEAP, working right alongside a volunteer who may be paying for window panels.
So the Energy Challenge is amazing. It helps people save money on their heating bills. We all know that heating bills, especially in our neck of the woods here, can be very expensive. So these panels are custom made. We have volunteers who come into your home, measure your windows, and then the panels are built specifically for that window. So they fit very snugly. They can save you $30 to $40 a month on your heat for some families. That's another trip to the grocery store or some payment on their electric bill or gas in their car. And yes, it is all done by volunteers. It's led by 2 key volunteers, Amy and Dan Palmer. But also, we encourage the homeowners to come and learn how to build the panels and then they can learn how to take care of them and store them and make sure because these panels can be used for we repaired panels last year that have been in use for 10 years. So they can save you money for more than just 1 year. And a lot of the core volunteers we have for that program started as a homeowner, and they really enjoyed it. It's so much fun to come to the workshops, and you don't have to be a skilled carpenter to do it. Anyone can. My 7-year-old daughter comes and helps. So. And
I think it's important to note that in the 11 or 12-year history of this program, we have done a lot of community buildings.
Oh, yes.
And so we love community. We love places where people can gather safely. And we've done everything from libraries to Grange halls to churches. So if there are organizations that are looking to save money within their organization and need window panels, they should contact United Way.
Oh, absolutely. Just give us a call at 778-5048 and we can get the information for you and put you on the list, because we want to encourage community buildings to stay open and stay available for the community, and if saving money on heat can help provide that, then we want to help.
So speaking of resources and numbers, you have a favorite number in your head, I think.
It's
and what is that?
Favorite. It's 211. If you haven't heard of it now, today's the day. So 211 is a great resource. It's the first thing we talk about with any of the people who come to file taxes. We talk about it at the Energy Challenge. We talk about it when we hand out the backpacks, because there are a lot of resources in our community, a lot of them, and people can't keep track. There are so many, and you don't need to know. You don't need to remember them all. If you remember 211, you can get connected to anything you need, whether you need a food pantry or an orthodontist or in-home services for your child, or mental health services for yourself or someone you love, or Meals on Wheels for your aging parent who wants to stay at home. The people who answer that phone, they have access to that right at their fingertips. The calls are free. They're confidential. You can call any time of day.
Or night, 24/7.
Yes, or night. So you can call, text, or look online. It's very accessible, and not enough people know about it, and not enough people use it. So that's I'm
going to push the texting option too, because it is an amazing option now that's fairly new. If you text your zip code to 898-211, you begin a conversation with a call specialist via text. So.
And the only thing they ever ask is for your zip code, and that's so the information they give you is as close to you as they can find.
So Nichole, I asked this of your colleague Kendra, and I'm always excited because it's a chance for viewers to get to know a little bit more about United Way that sort of demystifies some misconceptions about United Way. And I always like to ask as a final question, what is one thing you would like people to know about United Way?
Well, I'm going to pick 2 things because that's how. Yeah. So one, we also do a lot of volunteers. So a lot of the programs I talk about leverage volunteers for almost all of it, and volunteering is fun, and it's not a chore, it's not a pain, it's not boring.
It can improve your health.
It can improve your health. There are so many benefits to the volunteer, to come and
Build your
volunteer.
resume.
Build your resume,
Right.
learn new job skills, get networked, connected
Socialize.
to learn about your community, especially if you're not from here. It's a great way to learn. And quite frankly, you've met United Way. Like if you've already talked to Kendra, you, me, Kendra, that's it. There's no way we would be able to do all of what we do without amazing volunteers. So get out and volunteer in your community. It doesn't have to be with United Way. It doesn't have to be, but it's fun. We have people who come and scare people at our Halloween event.
Let me touch on that just for 1 second, because you bring up an interesting point. It doesn't have to be with our organization. No. One of your jobs is to actually inventory, right? Yeah. To understand what other people can connect to. Yep. And there's a website that they can go to.
There is.
Right?
Yep. It's volunteer.uwtva.org. And that has so many volunteer opportunities and lots of different nonprofits. So that's a great place to start.
From trail work, right, to housing rehabilitation, to so many, reading to kids, whatever it is. Yeah.
Reading in the schools. Our lunch buddy at the school.
Yeah.
So it has lots of opportunities. And if you don't see something there, that doesn't mean it's not here. So just give me a call.
So what's the second thing? So volunteer.
211. I already talked about that one. 211, I really want people to remember, take away from this, and use. And tell your friends.
So we're local. Mm-hmm. We rely on volunteers.
Yes.
We're making a difference.
We are.
Anything else that you would like to share with our viewers before I wrap up and say?
No.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Nonprofit Spotlight. I'm your host, Lisa Laflin, the Executive Director of United Way of the Tri-Valley area, an organization that cares deeply, relies on your support, and has some amazing people working for it that I've had a chance to interview today. Kendra Baker, our Finance and Operations Coordinator, and Nichole Ernest, our Community Resource Coordinator.
Well, thank you.
So get involved, visit our website, like us on Facebook, and make a difference.